Now, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, hello. This is Ignacy Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 236, and we're recording it for you on June 3rd, 2022. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and I spoke to Tom Bassel last night. Tom said that even though this is a low season right now for him in travel, he's so stressed out about the upcoming events like Dice Tower East, the Dice Tower Summer Spectacular, and such. Ignacy, I think I feel sorry for him. No, I don't. Tom's got like an army of people working for him right now, and they do an amazing job. Shout out to Sharon for the Dice Tower Con, Dice Tower East. She's doing an amazing job. Good luck to all of them and the amazing things that they're planning to do over the next few months. I look forward to being at as many of those as I can. Do you feel sorry for Tom?
Yeah, I mean, no. He's probably stressed. This is a huge guest from Europe coming to Dice Tower East, so he knows that there's like lots of prestige for his convention. Yes, I'm coming, so yeah, that's he might be a little bit stressed.
But you're not the special guest of honor, are you? Let me see. Show me where it says that on the page. I want to just see that, making sure that if you are, then I'm not going.
I am not the special guest of honor, but I am a speaker at the convention.
So are you really?
I am a speaker. I have a room. I have all the hardware devices to run the professional seminar. Thanks to the Sharon just mentioned. So yes, I'm the official speaker at the Dice Tower East. How does that sound?
That is very, very cool. Well, hopefully I can see it.
Yeah, by the way, this is going to be fun because the seminar is my top 10 failures as a publisher. And you can, of course, expect some anecdotes and funny stories from my career.
That is brilliant stuff. So people at Dice Tower East, I hope that you will come and see that. So tell us in the meantime, what's going on over there at Portal Games? You've done all kinds of things over the last 4 weeks since we've been here. I know you've been traveling. I've been traveling. What's happening, man?
Yeah, so I was traveling. In the meantime, we released finally Batman Everybody Lies. So the game is now available online stores, retailers, everywhere. You can buy, people are playing, people are enjoying. So it makes me very, very happy to see finally the game released. Now, while we are working on the sequel to the game, but the first base game is out there, and I'm very, very happy with that. As you are listening to this episode, we are releasing Gutenberg. Also, the game that we were mentioning about the pre-orders Gutenberg. Yes, it's happening. As we are recording right now, my team from Portal Games is at the UK Game Expo. And I will discuss this convention in the next episode. But right now, there's a pre-release of the game at this amazing European convention. So people in Europe can get Gutenberg this weekend. And the rest of the world, the official street date is next week on June 9th. Gutenberg. And besides these releases, one is a great story-driven game, one is a brilliant Euro game from Europe. I was traveling. Our listeners know how much I enjoy travels. And yeah, so it was the same situation. Because I'm afraid of flying, I was driving. First, I drove to Italy, somehow a little bit more than 1,000 kilometers. And then I came back home and I drove to France because I'm afraid of flying. So I was spending most of these 2 weeks in the car. But besides being stuck in the car, I was visiting these 2 conventions. For the Moderna Fair, and Modena is one of the biggest board game conventions in Italy. Technically speaking, for the board games, it is the biggest. There are bigger conventions in Italy, but they involve cosplay and movies and basically science fiction. This one is strictly talking about board games, the biggest. And the very interesting news that I want to share with you is that this year, the attendance numbers went up compared to the last edition by 75%.
No
way.
The
convention was almost double size from the previous one, which is, first of all, the convention was amazing, super crowded, lots of publishers, lots of gamers, lots of everything. But it shows, hopefully, that I believe it shows that during these COVID times, we have so many new gamers, people who discovered board games, and now the convention season is starting, and they say, "Hey, I discovered board games last year. Maybe I will visit one of these board game conventions." And hence, so many new players. The convention, I had a blast. It was absolutely amazing. I met personally my wargame hero, Mr. Volko. I have a selfie with this designer. I have my copy design signed.
Who is it? I'm sorry.
Volko. He designed games like Nevsky and many other coin games. He's a famous developer and designer from GMT Games. And as you guys know, I love this historical game. So it was a pleasure for me to meet him and then have some small chat. Speaking about the chats, and we are now in the section of brag of the week. Be with me. I was doing interview for the national Italian TV. The channel is called Rai. This is the big national channel in every single TV. And I was talking about the first Martians because there was some scientists who are doing some project. And there was a panel about the science and colonization of Mars. And first Martians obviously popped up. And I was a guest at this panel, and I was discussing how games can relate to the real science. And then I did an interview for the Rai TV. So if you have any friends in Italy, they might see me in TV, and it was a very, very fun time. By the way, I met a real scientist. Because always Steven is bragging about meeting this scientist. So this is my time to brag. So I sat next to the guy who is in charge, like he was a boss of the whole team from Italy, Italian scientists who, together with American scientists, like two teams, were trying to discover water on Mars. So like he was really head of this team that was working with you Americans. So that
stuff is near and dear to my heart. So that is very cool. So so I'm gonna one up you in a little while. But go ahead, keep
So I was invited for this seminar, and I was like really stressed out because I knew that we are real scientists. Before the seminar, they provide him a copy of First Martians, and I didn't know if he likes the game or not, what he will say. So I was a little bit stressed, but then he started talking about the game, what we discovered in the game, and there was only good and nice things about the First Martians. What we discussed many times over these many years, First Martians is very solid scientific game. Like there's so many real scenarios from the real life, and the scientists confirmed that it was very, very nice. That's Modena. Lots of fun time meeting with the fans, presenting games, a release of my book in Italian. Very fun stuff. And then I went to Bruno Faidutti's Gathering of Friends, 1,500 kilometers. And we played the games because Bruno Faidutti's Gathering of Friends, similarly to Alan Zmon's Gathering of Friends, is just the industry folks and their friends hanging out, drinking wine. I was not involved in drinking wine, chatting, having fun, playing some prototypes, discussing industry, and just chilling. The difference between Bruno's Faidutti Gathering of Friends and Alan Moon's Gathering of Friends is the location and the weather season. Like in Niagara Falls, at this time of the year, it sometimes even is snowing. Like it was these moments when somebody was just outside and suddenly it was snowing. Gathering of Friends is happening in late May. The weather is beautiful, sun, and people are playing games outside of the building in a totally chill out moment. So had a blast, played a couple of prototypes. I'm not sure which ones were, public. So I tried to be very, very now top secret. One thing that I loved, and I precisely asked publisher if I can talk about this game because I loved it so much, and I got the green light, is a game from a Scorpion Mask. This is the publisher who did The Crypto, a big hit from a couple of years ago. And his new game, this publisher's new game, is a Turing machine, and is the deduction game in which we try to hack the code and play with this Enigma style. Guys, listeners, folks, pay attention to Turing machine. Great deduction game I played at Gathering of Friends. So things were happening, and as we couple of weeks announced, convention season is open, convention is popping out, and we can once again hang out with each other and have fun. And Modena done, France done. Now my team is doing UK Game Expo, and in 4 weeks I'm coming to America for the Dice Tower East. That's why Tom is so stressed out.
You think he has to entertain you when you're here?
I guess I waited for some cookies and tea.
Maybe. So over here at the Podfather of Gaming, first of all, I want to mention again, because I haven't mentioned in a while, that I'd love for everybody who listens to us to come over to Facebook, if you're on Facebook, and join the Podfather of Gaming group. We talk about that at the end of the show, but I want to emphasize it again. Recently, I've had over 300 new people join, which was amazing. There was like only maybe 500 or 600 anyway. Now, like all these people, I invited like many people. So a lot of people joined, which is great.
Very group.
And it's fun. And that's exactly all that we do. We're not talking about politics, certainly, and a little bit of games here and there, and a little bit of what's going on in our lives. But we're mostly just trying to find different things to make everybody laugh. And remember that, we're a team together, and we want to keep it light and funny. And that's what we do. Thank you, Ignacy, for mentioning that too.
Yeah, because I'm part of this group, and every couple of days I find something super fun. As you mentioned, there's not much board gaming stuff. But there's a lot of memes or funny comments.
Memes.
Like I find it as a funny group, not exactly board game group.
Exactly. That's exactly what goes on there. And then a lot of the memes, some of the memes are about board gaming or about other geeky things, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what we do there. So come on over and check it out, and and then post things with us. On the gaming scene, I think I mentioned the last time that we had this podcast, that Foundations of Rome, which is almost definitely going to be my number one game of this year, has arrived. And guess what? It's still in the box. I mean, I opened it up and I looked at it, but how could I not have played it yet? Because, well, I've been traveling almost the entire time, and I have not been able to actually get it to the table. But that's going to get rectified very, very soon. Paula and I are interested in playing this amazing game, Foundations of Rome. Go check out what it looks like, if nothing else. And it comes with the one I got has the sun drop, so it even makes it better because it gives all that nice shading to it. It's amazing. Gloomhaven with Tom Vassell and Rod Phelps. We had taken a huge hiatus on this, but we've restarted it, and we just had last night an epically fun losing part of our story arc time, and we've realized we have to rethink how we're fighting a little bit. We were originally going to plan on putting these things up on the Dice Tower channel, but we've stopped recording them, so I don't know what Tom's ultimate goal is. Right now, we're just having fun. And so it's amazing. And we're talking about the digital version because we're all playing from different locations. It's an unbelievable digital adaptation of Gloomhaven. So hopefully we do put it out there. But if you love Gloomhaven and you just can't get it to the table, check out the digital app. It's amazing. I'm still in my role-playing campaigns, my D&D 5e with some industry people, and that's wonderful. Rachel, Julie, Dustin, and Alex DMing it. I'm going to give them a big shout out. And my Pathfinder campaign still going strong, almost 2 years into the whole thing at this point. We're in our final portion of our story in that one, probably going to go another 6 months or something like that before we're finally completely over. Remodeling is done, Ignacy, so I can't give you anything to complain about. So sorry about that. We're going to paint the house next, but again, that's
really,
yeah. Well, I mean, paint the outside. It's much easier than doing the inside. The inside done. Anything we needed to do is done. Painting the outside, you just hire somebody to do it, and they do it. I got to go through the nonsense of the HOA and put in the applications for what colors and that kind of stuff, which might make me complain a lot when I start that. So you might have something to cheer about me complaining. But as far as you just pick the colors and they come and they paint it and they're done like in a day, I guess, or 2 days. I don't know how long it takes. So
we are looking forward. We are all looking forward.
So on my trips and conventions, so the reason why we couldn't get here, Ignacy mentioned that he was away for a week, and I was away for 2 weeks and more, a little more than that, in Hawaii, and it's absolutely amazing. And I've been to Hawaii 3 times, and I cannot recommend going to Hawaii enough. It's a very long trip, of course. Even if you're on the West Coast, it's a 6-hour trip, 5-hour flight maybe. On the East Coast, it's double that. And obviously from Europe, crazy amount of time. But put it on your bucket list. to do before. I think Hawaii is the single most beautiful place on the planet with so many different things to do on all of the major islands. Like there's 5 major islands, there's other islands, so many islands to explore. It's incredible. I met Zev there and his family. We had a great time doing things, seeing all the lava formations, seeing actual lava coming up. We did not expect that. But on the Big Island, we were actually able to see from a distance, from about 1.5 miles away, to see lava coming up, boiling up, and making almost these fingers. And I'm seeing this from 1.5 miles away. And the fact that I can see individual lava flows means that thing is not insignificant. Now, that's considered an eruption, a minor eruption, because it's not blasting out gas to the sky and things like that. So it's not a threat to anybody or anything, and it's not going to wipe out a town. Back in 2018, 700 buildings were destroyed in its last major. Kilauea is the name of the volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii. And it wiped out a very big portion of that town, of a small town, but like 700 buildings. So big amount. We didn't see that, thankfully, not dangerous. Watched it from a distance. Amazing thing to do. I didn't go to BGG Spring, sadly. I apologize to anybody who wanted to see me there, who thought they might be there. I just couldn't do it. I would have had to literally leave the day I got back and go out again. And I'm like, I can't travel anymore. I gotta stop. I did make an overnight trip this week to the Kennedy Space Center again. And this is where I was talking. I did not meet a scientist. So you did beat me on scientists. I took this overnight trip and I was invited with everybody who has an annual pass. So not a special Podfather thing. If you have an annual pass there, and we do because we go 3, 4 or more times a year, to see their new exhibit called Gateway. Wow. The Kennedy Space Center is just amazing to begin with. It's dedicated to the history, right, of spaceflight. The U.S. space program of Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the space shuttle, and the International Space Station. But Gateway is now dedicated to the future of space travel, which is just absolutely amazing. They had an actual Falcon 9, right? That's what SpaceX is using right now to ferry people to the space station and launch satellites. They had one that's been flown up, hanging there inside. They had a Boeing Starliner, which is one of the next capsules that are going to be used to get people there. A SpaceX Dragon capsule, the Orion capsule, which is going to be going to the moon soon, atop Artemis. And they have like a ride, I'll put that in air quotes, a futuristic spaceport ride with motion, which is taking you into space, into 4 different like things. You go to Mars, or you can go to the outer solar system, or you can go to the stars, and they take you there and they show you. I can't talk up the Kennedy Space Center enough. If you're ever in Florida, like if you were going to Dice Tower East, take a day, get there and do a whole day at the Kennedy Space Center. You can spend 2 if you're a nerd enough to see all the stuff. It's absolutely amazing. My final thing is I'm going to be at Origins, and probably when you hear this, hopefully you're hearing this and you're there at Origins already. I'm going to be co-hosting Origins TV. And that's going to be piped around the convention center and the food venues and Big Bar on too. Every place that kind of Gamma has control of for Origins, I'm co-hosting Origins TV, myself and B Zelda, a very cool person. And they are on the RPG content creation side. And we're going to make a great team. And we're going to go around and we're going to be interviewing the different companies. I'm going to be doing a back row segment. So for the smaller companies, I'm going to be doing in like an industry status with some of the bigger companies. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're at Origins, look for me on TV screens, or just look for me to talk and hang out, because I'm there from Monday to Monday. I'm there for the whole week. It should be an amazing amount of fun. I hope to see you at Origins. So we went a little long there, Ignacy, and I think we're going to probably and we didn't talk about this, we should only do Event Deck because we have so much news because we've been away for a month. If that's okay with you, let's start up the Event Deck.
I agree with you.
So the first thing is that...
the first thing is Board Game Insider was not nominated for the Golden Geek again.
Yes, we were not nominated.
We are not removing it from the show notes for the whole year.
Okay. If you insist on saying that, our fans might get mad at you, but okay, I'll leave that on you. We'll see. But the parent company, now, if you remember, we reported that, Asmodee, which is a private company, they were sold out of one venture capital group to another one called Embracer. And Embracer went out and bought another game company, but this is a video game company, but it's one of the biggest ones. And this adds to their portfolio of many, many video game companies that they already own. So very briefly, Japanese game publisher Square Enix confirmed that it was selling all three of its Western video game studios, along with many significant game series and intellectual property attached to those studios, to the European game publisher Embracer. The sale includes game studios Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. All three had previously been wholly owned by Square Enix, and Embracer will acquire their entire staffs, combined at roughly 1,100 more people, along with the popular IPs such as Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, and game publishing catalog of over 50 games for $300 million US. This is another. Now, while not directly related, obviously, to Ignacy, to our industry, it makes Embracer a game mega company at this point, right? They just bought Asmodee for $3 billion US, $3.1 billion US it came to. Now they're buying a $300 million company, adding to this catalog. You've got to believe that we're going to see some interesting crossover things going on the E side and on the physical side coming up. What do you think?
I'm super excited, and it is interesting. Like, we are recording this podcast for many years now. Like, we have some history of reporting news, and for the whole history of this podcast, we were discussing that there was our industry, and even the biggest publisher in our industry, this Asmodee, is still a friction of Hasbro. Like, Hasbro is so big, and this Asmodee is small. But with Embracer Group coming into the play and purchasing all these new companies and adding new IPs to the pool, and now they are going to publish all these board games with these IPs and reverse. At some point in the history and in the future of this podcast, maybe we'll report that this Asmodee Group is bigger than Hasbro. Like, we don't know what will happen, but it is like it's growing every year, every 2 years we report, and Asmodee is boom, twice as big, boom, twice as big, boom, twice as big. It's insane.
It is absolutely amazing how much we're growing and how fast these segments are growing. So we have a very interesting article that came up about some of the effect of COVID, about more sales at retailers, but with less hours opened. How about that? So COVID made it possible to increase sales with fewer hours in comic and game stores as varying models for in-store gaming develop. Yes, COVID-19 is or was, take your pick, the great disruptor for retail. But many retailers found this silver lining on that cloud with new habits and the amazing boom of the same or greater sales in fewer hours. Quote, before the pandemic, my stores were open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, said Tim Stoltzfus, owner of More Fun Stores in Denton, Texas. We reopened faster than most areas here in Texas, and we started with 11 to 5 and then went to 11 to 7. During this past holiday season, we experimented with staying open until 9 p.m. Again, the amount of sales in those final 2 hours was negligible. Bottom line, More Fun is now permanent at 11 to 7. And sales are stronger than they've ever been, Stoltzfus says. So, Ignacy, this is an interesting thing that owners are able to make these changes in their structure and even have the same or greater sales. Now, there could be a negative effect here on the gamer side if gamers can't get a space to game any longer, on the later side, that could end up being a negative thing, or maybe they don't keep the sales open, but the other port is open. So I don't know about that, but it's good to see that retail stores have found ways of continuing to be profitable in a very tough environment.
It is very interesting, and I guess it deserves maybe even a whole episode just about that. I was a guest, but I was a guest in the birthday of the big retailer in UK, and I fly there to do some seminars, etc. And I talked with the owners. So the same situation. They had the store open the whole week, late in the nights, and even longer. Like they were saying, if there's a Magic the Gathering tournament, if there's a gamers playing Warhammer Battle, we stay as long as we need. So they have this fun. And so this is a great contribution of the owners for the community, staying late so the players can play there, and players know that they can go to this game store and always find a table and have fun. But let's be honest, when players are playing this late game of miniature game at 9 p.m., they are there to play the game, not exactly to purchase, to make a purchase at this 9 p.m. So exactly, the purchases, the money spending is during the day. And then the additional late hours is the owner being super awesome to provide to the community and the space for entertainment. But the sales, I guess, they're not happening at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. They're just people hanging out and playing games. So it makes sense for me. But depending what's your strategy for your game store, you might need to stay long hours, even though you don't selling per se on these late hours, but your community is happy that they can join the place, play their games, and maybe they bought the game 3 hours earlier, but then they play anyway later in the night.
Right, exactly. More on this definitely in the future. So Gen Con has made a statement that there will be no pop-up Gen Con events held in 2022, though the program will return in 2023. Gen Con announced it will not hold pop-up Gen Con events in 2022. Pop-up Gen Con events began running in your friendly local game stores back in 2019, but were canceled in 2020 due to COVID. They came back in September 2021, but now they are off the table again for 22. The company has put these events on hiatus to, quote, focus our resources and attention on making Gen Con Indy 2022 a truly spectacular return to pre-pandemic scale in celebration of 55 years of Gen Con. Very interesting that it's a 55th anniversary. However, Gen Con organizers also stated that they will continue long-term planning and development of the pop-up Con program in anticipation that it will return in 2023. So pop-up Gen Con was retailers could apply, and then they would get some releases that were only going to be a Gen Con. They would get them in their store, and there were certain reasons that you could do it and how you can do it. In certain, as usual, you had to meet certain criteria. It's sad to see that this won't happen, so that you have to be there, but they needed to refocus on making sure that Gen Con 2022 would really be that 60,000+ person event, and hopefully we'll see it back to that level again.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was a huge fan of this pop-up event. I found it super interesting that in different states, in different areas of the country, people could enjoy somehow this feeling of Gen Con, these new releases, and the stores were doing these events. Of course, I was not happy that Portal Games was not part of this event and my games were not pop-up. I didn't qualify somehow, but I thought it is a great idea. So I'm sad it is not happening this year. I don't know how much work it was. Of course, we don't know how much of the preparation on the side of the Gen Con to synchronize with the publishers, synchronize with the distributors, and get all these retailers. I guess this is a lot of work. But as I said, I thought it is a great idea, although I was sad that Portal Games was not involved in that project. So hopefully it will get back next year. And I think it's cool for all those people who cannot fly to Gen Con, to Indiana.
And guess what? More big news and big players coming into this industry. The investor group led by Oops. My chair just collapsed. Sorry. I'm going to have to tell Matthew to do a cut there. Oh, boy.
What? Oh, you scared me, sir. Remember, I'm scared of everything.
What was that? 29 minutes. All right, hold on. 29-minute mark. All right, Matthew, you got to make a cut there for us. That's going to be dumb if we do. So anyway. So listen to this. So more big players kind of entering a little bit into the industry. We can't focus much on this because this is kind of tangential at best. So an investor group led by Chernin Group includes eBay is buying 25% of Funko. Funko signs deal with eBay for exclusives and more. A group of investors led by the Chernin Group and including eBay, former Disney CEO Robert Iger and Rich Paul, United Talent Agency, will acquire 25% of the outstanding Funko stock from the current shareholder Acon Investments, the company announced. As part of the transaction, Funko has signed a deal with eBay for exclusive product releases and making eBay the preferred secondary marketplace for Funko products. Now, without going too far down this, as we know, Funko also does board games, but in comparison, they don't go through this in the article here, but in comparison, the amount of board game sales is much lower than the amount of those bobbleheads and things like that Funko does. There are some collectible things that they do as well, but this in general is interesting news because it brings another huge player, many of them, including eBay, multi-billion-dollar company, into this, buying part of this company, which of course has board gaming as part of its portfolio. So how will this impact Funko going forward? Well, time will tell, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like a perfect marriage. Like Funko is doing collectibles, and eBay is the place where you buy these collectibles. Like it makes sense, right?
Exactly. It's definitely a good marriage in that regard. So for Asmodee continuing to do more moves, and now they've announced a new studio called Access Plus. The new studio will adapt Asmodee titles to be more accessible. Asmodee announced Access Plus Studio, a board game studio that adapts Asmodee's hit titles to be more accessible to players with cognitive disabilities. This is so interesting to me. This studio is created based on clinical data gathered by Asmodee's Research and Development Department, Asmodee Research. Asmodee Plus games will be geared toward making Asmodee's games more accessible for patients with disabilities, their families, and caregivers. Access Plus is launched because at Asmodee, we believe board games are universal. By starting to adapt some of our most popular titles to fit the needs of all, we can strive to make board gaming as inclusive and accessible as possible, said Stefan Carville, the CEO of Asmodee. As an industry leader, we want to create products that can truly make a difference in people's lives. Board gaming is social by nature, and Access Plus titles allow families and friends to reintroduce the fun of board gaming and up to their loved ones with special needs, creating moments of happiness that can only come from shared experiences. So this is really beautiful, in my opinion, Ignacy. So again, we talk about that Asmodee can do things, and the bigger companies across the world can do things that smaller companies like you have or I had, that we can't move the needle. But this is something that a company, a $3 billion company, can truly help people's lives to get them into gaming and families. I think this is an amazing, amazing thing.
Yeah, and I have to be, once again, for the most of the show, I always try to be silly and funny, and sometimes I complain on Asmodee just for some fun. And these are the moments when Ignacy gets serious and says, yes, I can complain on Asmodee sometimes, but here is the absolutely great initiative. And as Steven said, smaller companies like Portal Games, like Back Then Strong Companies, like, for instance, we care that our games are good for colorblind people. Like there's always icon next to the color, so people who are colorblind can play games. But with Asmodee, with their knowledge, their department, their money, their know-how, they can be inclusive for many other people, and make these games be enjoyed by most people. So I fully respect, like not only support, but respect. Like this is what you should do if you're a big company, that you have resources and knowledge how to do it. And then we, the smaller publishers, can learn something and maybe follow up and see, hey, Asmodee did something like that. Maybe we can do similarly to, once again, be more inclusive and more helpful for people who have some problems with playing games. So
Sure.
this time Ignacy super serious. Kudos to Asmodee. That reminds me, because I cannot be too serious for too long. And at Bruno Faidutti gathering of friends, I met Steven, the president of Gamma.
Oh, Stefan Brassard.
Yeah, yes. He didn't punch me in the face, which I read that I can still be silly about the Gammas, and I will continue.
Very good.
We say hello to each other, of course, and there was no any bad feelings, obviously. Stefan understands that I'm just silly.
Yeah, I would never have expected that to be. So also on Asmodee, but on the kind of the other side where someone is leaving and doing something different, Thomas Provost, the Repos Productions co-founder, has left his position at Asmodee as collection director to start a new publishing house called Playpunk with, this is the biggest part maybe, co-founder Antoine Bauza, who is the designer of Seven Wonders and many other great games. I have no link to an article. I can't read a press release. We were told this by our good friend Eric Hanwis. He always sends us these interesting little articles that he finds usually on French websites. And he said, we're allowed to release this. He got the information from Thomas and he said, yes, you can release this information and Board Games Insider can talk about it. So we don't have any more information, but it's interesting to see that Antoine Bauza is going to go create a new studio with Thomas Provost, who's got great creds at Repos, which was part of Asmodee too. And they're going to go and create this new studio. I look forward to whatever interesting ideas they're going to do with this.
I fully support. However, every piece of this news is surprising for me, like on every single level. First of all, last year we reported that Asmodee bought Repos Production, and a few months passed, and Thomas says, "Okay, it's fine, I'm leaving." So this is not common with these all these mergers and acquisitions. The other thing, I know personally Antoine. He's a brilliant designer, but I never saw him like he wants to be a business person and run a business, and have problems with logistics and manufacturers and transport. Like he's doing brilliant games, and why change it? Like I'm really surprised with that. So yeah, absolutely two icons of the French industry. For sure, something very interesting will happen out of this, but it is quite a surprise for me.
Yeah, I thought so too. One more. I think we're running really long. I'm surprised you haven't told me I have to stop. So I'm just going to do.
We discussed that we are doing only news today. So yes, we are doing only news today. So yes, we are going.
Can I keep going? Oh, I'm going to keep going until you tell me to stop.
we have 5 more minutes before we stop the recording. So yes, let's go.
Oh, we also have to do a playtesting segment, Ignacy. I just want to point that out. So, but okay.
I don't know.
Oh, we weren't even going to do playtesting, you mean? No, we have to do playtesting. So if you tell me, then we'll just go on. Should we just go on?
Okay, so one more news and then playtesting.
All right, then this will be a quick one too. Dice Hate Me Games, small company that merged with Greater Than Games about 5 years ago. They are going to be spinning themselves back off again. So that's owned by Chris Kirkman, and he kind of wanted his control back again, very similar to what happened with Plaid Hat Games and Asmodee, right? So spinning themselves off. Chris Kirkman is going to be doing the same thing. So kudos to Chris for doing his own thing again, getting his IPs back and starting it back out on his own. He's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy. I'm very happy to hear that he's going to be charting his own course once again. And Greater Than Games, which is, of course, owned by Flat River Group now. They're doing great jobs, and happy to hear that they're going to continue doing great things with them. So kudos around. And now let's get down to playtesting. So Ignacy, last week, why don't you talk about the question? Last month. We had a question that you put out there. and which was with all the drama around Simon's shipping for their Marvel Zombies game. How important is cheap shipping or free shipping to you? And do you refuse to buy games due to shipping cost? And I happen to notice that we got a lot of replies on this one. So
this is the most replied question so far, the most hot item. So definitely the drama with Simon helped to make you guys discuss. Lots of answers. I picked two, and I picked one of them precisely because I disagree. And I want to read it. But before I disagree, I want to say that I'm disagreeing with the whole respect to the listener, and I'm just want to present my different opinion. So first, I read what he said, and then with my whole respect, I will disagree. And the listener that I'm mentioning is Lol Margu. Okay. And he or she said, I wanted to buy a second-hand copy of Codenames Duo for 10 euro in Germany, but the shipping cost from Germany to my hometown is 12 euros. So this isn't making any sense. And then he writes that he has the same problem with buying from BGG store when there's shipping. And why I'm disagreeing. How I read it that Codenames Duo for 10 euros and shipping for 12 euros make it 22 euros. And I read it 20 euros for Codenames Duo is a good price. This is a brilliant game that he, with his partner, will play for many, many times, and it will cost him almost nothing after these 50 games of Codenames Duo. So 20 euros for the one game is a very, very good price. And I would not divide it into 10 bucks and 12 bucks, and then we compare, oh my God, 12 is bigger than 10. No, it's a package, it's 20. And I see the same with the behavior of the customers, that you guys are more willing to pay 15 bucks on shipping if the game costs 50, and if the game costs 5 bucks, you say, no, I will never pay 15 for shipping because it's less than the price of the game. And I disagree, obviously, with this, but I hear you, I understand your points, but you should not compare it to the MSRP of the game. You should compare it to the amount of the fun you will get from the combined transaction. And the other comment that I found here, and I wanted to read, and I just lost it. Oh, yes. Shipping cost is, Duncan McGregor says, shipping cost is clearly important, but it is more important that game companies are honest with their estimates and how bad they might be. You know your European customers will be paying VAT, so don't give a shipping and taxes estimate that excluded it. If you are spending over 600 bucks on a game, you should be aware that you will be paying 100 bucks on a VAT. So this is a very complex situation. So first of all, indeed, during the Kickstarter, some companies hide the shipping cost, or some companies show the shipping cost without VAT. And this is not super awesome. And I agree with the customers that then they are very, very angry with the surprises. And I was myself in this position as well, as a private person, as a backer. Then suddenly I was surprised the shipping cost. So this is very, very bad if publishers are doing that. But I wanted to say that it is very, very difficult for the companies these days to estimate the cost. And I want you, our listeners, to listen to the recent episode of the podcast, Rolling Dice and Taking Names. I don't know if you, Steven, listen to this particular episode because super interesting.
I know them very well. I know the guys very well. I have not heard this podcast though. Yeah.
So they invited our industry friend Burki from the Toppers, Game Toppers. You know Kevin?
Of course
you know him. And he was a special guest, and he talked for about 40 minutes how logistics and shipping costs changed over the course of him doing this Kickstarter. And he gives the precise numbers. This is how I was paying for the truck. This is how much I was paying for the container. This is how much I was paying for the taxes. Like, he gives all the numbers, and he gives these numbers over the time. So he says, that was the price in January 20. This is the price in March 21. This is the price in June 22. Like, he gave precise numbers, and he shows the listeners how it is difficult to estimate. Basically, he lost money with this crazy shipping. So 2 points. Yes, if the publishers is hiding, this is very, very bad. They should not do this. But if they cannot estimate because the market is crazy these days. Please, guys, be aware that this is crazy times, and I strongly recommend to listen to this podcast, Rolling Dice Taking Names, with the special guest, Berkey, because he gives you the numbers, and these are mind-blowing.
I'm reading through some of the comments now, and there's a lot of passion and a lot of, stuff going on here. Josh Wasser, he says, and this is an interesting thing. I'm a 15-minute drive away from 2 miniature markets, so I almost never pay for shipping for retail. If it's a game they don't have, generally out of print, and I really want it, I'm glad to have found it and definitely willing to pay shipping. For crowdfunding games, shipping factors in. If there's a bunch of Kickstarter exclusives included and it's worth the added cost of shipping, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm okay waiting for retail. The quote, I may never go to retail, unquote, games have their shipping factored in for me in the same way. So it's interesting, Ignacy. So because of this, how high shipping is now, and it is just high. Remember, when you get a game from Amazon and it's free shipping, guess what? Someone is still paying for that shipping, and it's Amazon. But there's a $1 billion company, and they can factor it into their cost and the amount of money they're making on this, and this. Somebody is always paying shipping. It just might not be you for something like an Amazon product. So maybe some people will be driven even closer to buying it friendly local game stores because of this. That's an interesting point as well. What else do I have? I have Chris Gouret. He mentions, I recently passed on backing Thunder Road Vendetta because the shipping brought the price over MSRP. At that point, I'd much rather support my friendly local game store. And that's fine, of course, Chris, as well. There's nothing wrong with thinking of it like that. And I had another one here on page 2. We had 2 pages of answers. Greg Senko, he says, it depends. My ceiling is around $40 for shipping. I would never go over that in the rare case. I would go over that in the rare case if something like Foundations of Rome came around. Yes. And it cost, yes, more. I really need to be sold on the title for that to happen. So people are very polarized on this. They have very strong feelings about this. Everybody wants free shipping, but really there are no more free. There's no free lunch. It's the way to think about it. There's going to be costs associated with shipping. It's just who's going to absorb it and how you have to deal with it. So very, very interesting conversation to be had there. This week, your new question is here. Are there any themes that have not been done yet in a game, period? Or any themes that have not been done enough in games and you'd like to see these themes in an upcoming game? So I'm asking people, is there something you want to see in a game? But I'm not saying like, yeah, I want to see, another space game or another fantasy game. Of course, we know there's lots of that, a lot of the Egypt games. Are there any themes that haven't been done yet? Or any themes that haven't been done enough that you'd go out there and you go out and buy the game or really be interested in the game with this new theme? And hey, maybe Ignacy will design a game around it if you come up with something cool. Ignacy,
I'm prepared to make some notes. So yes, guys.
All right, there you go. Hopefully we get 25 good suggestions or more. So Ignacy, give me a theme. Never been done or really underdone that you want to see done in a game. And it's a hard question. I mean, right now, I don't have one on the top of my head. I'm putting you on the spot to answer first, and I'm going to answer it after you.
I would go, there is one game that was, no, this was already done. That was already done. Now, I wanted to go with the libraries because I'm a bookworm and I love my books. But there is a game from Renegade Games called Ex Libris that is about the collecting books and putting them on the shelves. So this is already done. I don't know. I will prepare for the next week. I will think about it at home. I will look at my library and which games I'm missing, and maybe I will come with the idea.
But it's funny that you just said that, because that was the theme that I was, as you were like your head was spinning. I saw it and I'm like, you know what? Books. Because, we all read books and some people collect them and you have them and you go to bookstores, but something regarding books. Now you, of course, are doing a game called Gutenberg, which you could also say is about
making books.
It's about printing. But I think that there's more games out there. So that's the one that I actually came to my mind, and you said at the same time. So everybody out there, come on, help Ignacy design the next great thematic game by coming up with suggestions for him on either themes that have never been done or ones that are been underdone and that you'd like to see a game with that theme in it. Ignacy right now is creating a thread on Board Game Geek with this question for you. Please go to our guild on BGG and find our playtesting thread and post your answer to the question right now. And we'll answer it. We'll talk about it next week. Right now, we have to go to final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, please post them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you from our playtesting segment, also go to our guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so please like us on Facebook. Also on Facebook, please like Ignacy's page and Steven's page, which is /PortalGamesUS and /Podfather Gaming. Our websites, portalgamesus.com and podfathergaming.com. Go there, sign up for the newsletters, and get up-to-the-minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, talk directly to Ignacy and Steven. On Twitter, it's @PortalGamesUS and @Podfather Gaming. Same on Instagram. And the YouTube channels are Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and the Podfather of Gaming. On TikTok, please visit Ignacy at Portal Games US. We hope to see you at an upcoming convention soon. You can see both of us at Dice Tower East, first week in July. Please be there if you can make it. Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast. And if you'd like him to edit your podcast, please contact him on Twitter or email him at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Also, that great voice you hear doing our intro, outro, and in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Anything special to talk about at the end of the show, Ignacy?
Today, no, but I can tease that in upcoming weeks and podcasts. I will be spoiling and teasing you because not only I'm coming to the Dice Tower East, I will be staying in America for a couple of weeks till Gen Con, and I'm going to do a lot of meetings with our fans. So if you are living, for instance, in Dallas, we can meet. Just bring cookies and we will meet. So yes, I'm going to have the whole plan for a couple of different cities that I'm going to stay in America, and I hope to meet many of you in pubs or game stores. We will find out the way to have a meetup there. So
that's amazing. That's an announcement right there. I mean, you just said you're going to be in the US for like 4 weeks.
Yep.
I didn't notice any plans to come and talk to me and see me and hang out with me and have a beer with me or a cookie or something.
I got this impression that when I destroy you in Crokinole, you'll be crying for like a few weeks and you won't talk to me then.
Am I bringing my Crokinole board? Are we playing?
Yes, we do.
We have to. All right. Well, we didn't even announce a meetup or something like that. I guess we have to
work it out. Yep.
We have to work out a fan meetup.
I have a flight ticket. It's official. I'm coming, and yes.
All right. Well, there's some more news. We have to have a fan meetup at Dice Tower East at the Carib. It's like we did back in the day. So we did announce all these things just now. Oh, you're such a silly man. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.